Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine discovering a coin that has been sitting in a drawer or passed down from a relative, only to find out it's worth a staggering $810 million, an unimaginable fortune tucked inside a tiny piece of copper, and that's exactly the case with the legendary 1951 wheat penny from the United States, a coin whose history, errors, and unique variations have made it one of the most valuable pieces of numismatic treasure ever known, creating headlines and sparking fervor among collectors and historians alike. The humble appearance of this coin belies the monumental importance it carries in the coin collecting world, and its journey from everyday currency to million-dollar marvel is packed with mystery, human error, technological shifts, and market hysteria that transformed a single cent into one of the most sought-after collectibles on Earth. So let's dive deep into why this small copper coin minted in 1951, bearing the image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse, has created such massive waves, starting with the core of its allure, anomalies, because when it comes to numismatics, it's the deviations from the norm that turn an ordinary coin into a prized jewel, and in the case of the 1951 wheat penny, multiple such deviations occurred, beginning with the infamous double die obverse, where Abraham Lincoln's profile and the inscription surrounding it appear blurred or shadowed due to a misalignment in the die during production, creating a ghost-like illusion of doubling, especially visible in the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," which collectors treasure for their rarity and visual distinction. And while double die errors aren't entirely uncommon in the Lincoln cent series, what sets the 1951 versions apart is the extreme clarity of the doubling paired with the relatively low number of surviving specimens, making it not just a collectible but a true rarity with major auction houses fiercely competing for even moderately preserved examples. And then comes the fascinating story of off-center strikes, where the coin's design is not properly centered on the planchet during striking, leading to bizarre and unique partial prints where Lincoln's face is awkwardly shifted, or one of the wheat stalks on the reverse is cut off entirely. Errors that are not only visually interesting but also incredibly valuable, especially when the off-center percentage falls within the 50% to 60% sweet spot that retains a full date while displaying the dramatic misalignment that collectors adore. And among these, certain examples with visible mint marks and intact dates have crossed 6 and even 7 figures at top-tier auctions due to their extreme scarcity. And let's not forget the legend of the transitional error, where some 1951 wheat pennies were allegedly struck using planchets meant for other coins such as silver dimes or foreign planchets due to leftover blanks being mistakenly fed into the presses, causing weight discrepancies that are immediately evident when placed on a scale. These anomalies have led some specimens to be deemed wrong planchet errors, further boosting their desirability and pushing their price tags into astronomical figures due to their one-in-a-billion nature. And as if that weren't enough, rumors persist of a handful of 1951 wheat pennies being struck with proof-like qualities outside of official mint sets, which means that the coins display unusually sharp details, mirrored fields, and frosted devices despite not being officially released as proof coins, and the mystery of how these proof-like strikes came into circulation only adds to their intrigue and legendary status among collectors, driving up their perceived value even further, especially when they're accompanied by other errors such as clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a misfeed during the blank cutting process, resulting in crescent shaped voids that are not damage but legitimate minting mistakes. Combinations of such errors, like double dies on clipped planchets or off-center strikes with wrong planchets, exponentially compound the coin's value, and in some extremely rare circumstances, coins have been found with overstrikes where one coin is struck over another, leaving remnants of multiple images and inscriptions jumbled together in a surreal amalgam that tells the story of a mint gone haywire. And the 1951 penny has been at the center of multiple such discoveries, often due to the transitional period of post-World War II minting changes when the U.S. Mint was still readjusting to peacetime metal compositions and equipment upgrades, creating a perfect storm for bizarre minting outcomes. And beyond physical errors, the 1951 penny has also become iconic for its place in cultural and economic history, being produced during the heart of the American post-war boom, making it a symbol of resilience and growth that resonates with patriotic collectors and adds a layer of emotional significance to its already impressive physical appeal. And as years passed and more collectors entered the market, competition for the highest graded specimens increased dramatically, with PCGS and NGC regularly reporting top-graded MS67 and MS68 red examples being hotly contested at auctions, commanding hundreds of thousands and even millions depending on provenance, visual eye appeal, and error complexity, with certain coins fetching premium prices simply due to their story, some being discovered in pocket change decades later or unearthed from old coin jars, causing viral social media sensations that prompted everyday people to begin hunting for 1951 pennies in their own homes, leading to a grassroots collecting movement that gave this coin newfound fame among younger generations, and the demand hasn't slowed down, with prominent dealers confirming that authentic error-filled 1951 wheat pennies are consistently among their most requested and difficult-to-source items, often taking years of networking and negotiations to obtain, and when one does come to market, collectors and investors from all over the world line up to place bids, understanding that this is more than just copper, it's a fragment of American minting history, a mistake-turned masterpiece, a physical representation of the chaos and genius of human engineering, and a time capsule from a year long past yet forever preserved in numismatic lore, and whether it's through auction records being shattered, museum exhibits drawing in crowds, or online coin forums lighting up with speculation about newly discovered variations, the 1951 wheat penny continues to stun, inspire, and enrich anyone fortunate enough to own one, reminding us that even the smallest objects can hold extraordinary value when shaped by error, circumstance, and time. And if you're lucky enough to find one in your collection, treasure it, protect it, and understand that you're holding not just a coin, but an artifact of historical, cultural, and financial magnitude that could one day change your life forever. And if you enjoyed this incredible journey into one of the most valuable and intriguing coins in American history, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more unbelievable stories from the world of rare coins and big money discoveries. Next, 1958 D Wheat Penny USA coin. What if a single coin in your possession, one that looks just like any ordinary penny, turned out to be worth $800 million? That's not a dream, this is the unbelievable reality behind one of the most astonishing coins in American history, the 1958 D Wheat Penny, a small copper cent that has stunned collectors, rocked the numismatic world, and carved out a reputation for being one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever minted in the United States, and in this story lies a web of errors, mysteries, and minting anomalies that turned a single penny into a priceless national treasure, a true big money legend that continues to captivate and amaze anyone who lays eyes on it, and it all begins with the mint mark D, signifying the Denver Mint where this infamous coin was struck, a facility that throughout its history has been responsible for producing billions of coins, but in 1958, an unexplainable sequence of mistakes, oversights, and possible experimental processes led to the creation of several 1958 D Wheat pennies that were unlike any other, exhibiting a variety of flaws that would not only defy standard minting protocol but would also become the foundation of their immense worth. And one of the most talked about aspects of this coin is its dramatic and rare double die obverse error, a type of mistake where during the hubbing process the die receives two misaligned impressions of the design, resulting in visibly doubled features on the coin, most strikingly in the date, 1958, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust," and this doubling is not subtle, it leaps out with such clarity and prominence that even an untrained eye can spot it, which has only amplified its fame among collectors. And although the Philadelphia Mint is known for producing the more widely recognized 1958 double die penny, the 1958 D variety is significantly rarer, with only a handful of examples believed to exist, and even fewer in mint state or higher grades, making every known specimen a multi-million-dollar masterpiece of accidental craftsmanship. And what makes the story even more fascinating is the absence of official records confirming how such a double die error could have emerged from the Denver Mint that year, with numismatic experts speculating everything from miscommunications during die creation to unauthorized test runs that were never supposed to leave the facility. And this mystery fuels intrigue, speculation, and skyrocketing value with each passing year as more collectors join the search, hoping to find what some call the Holy Grail of wheat pennies. And yet that's just the beginning, because the 1958 D penny has surfaced with a range of additional striking and planchet-related errors, including off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and even coins struck on foreign or mis-sized blanks, each of which adds a layer of uniqueness and significantly increases the value, particularly when these errors appear in tandem with the famous double die, creating rare error combinations that have shocked auction houses and sparked record-breaking sales as collectors and investors rush to get their hands on one. And then there's the possibility of proof-like surfaces on a handful of these coins. Despite the Denver Mint not officially producing proof coins in 1958, yet certain 1958 wheat pennies have surfaced with highly reflective fields and deeply struck devices, leading some experts to theorize that a limited run of test strikes or presentation pieces may have been produced using polished dies, and if proven, these coins would represent a category all their own, ultra-rare, undocumented prototypes that could command prices rivaling even the most famous coins in history like the 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle or the 1804 silver dollar. And when you consider the cultural backdrop of 1958, a time of intense technological advancement and post-war optimism in the United States, every coin from that era carries historical significance, but the 1958 wheat penny does so while also offering collectors a glimpse into the chaos and imperfection of the minting process, where even the most secure and regulated systems can produce accidental miracles worth hundreds of millions, and with fewer than a dozen known specimens, some even believed to be in private collections, others possibly still lost in circulation. The value of this coin has soared over time, with one particularly pristine example rumored to have fetched offers well above $10 million before negotiations stalled due to disputes over authentication and provenance. And as technology improves, especially with more advanced imaging, metallurgical analysis, and die state tracking, even more details continue to emerge about the few surviving 1958 wheat pennies, confirming their status as a unique phenomenon with no known counterparts. And as the numismatic community continues to chase leads, test theories, and evaluate newly discovered examples, the coin's value has continued to rise exponentially, with estimates now placing the true worth of a top-grade 1958 double die wheat penny at or near $800 million, especially when combined with a secondary error or documented historical relevance, such as provenance from a famous collection or a tie to an important historical figure, and that has caused a modern-day gold rush of sorts, with collectors, treasure hunters, estate buyers, and curious hobbyists alike scouring old jars, bank rolls, and forgotten drawers in search of the next big find, hoping that one overlooked coin could change their lives forever. And with each discovery comes media attention, viral stories, and renewed interest that pushes the legend of the 1958 penny further into the spotlight. And no matter how many coins are found, the laws of supply and demand ensure that the best examples will always command astronomical sums, especially as interest in rare coins continues to grow thanks to documentaries, YouTube channels, TikTok discoveries, and celebrity endorsements. And all of this combines to make the 1958 wheat penny not just a rare coin, but a symbol of mystery, value, and opportunity, representing the possibility that even in a world of mass production and digitization, something as small and simple as a 1-cent piece can still carry a story so powerful that it redefines what we believe is possible. And if that story moved you, intrigued you, or lit a spark of curiosity about the hidden treasures that might be hiding in plain sight, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more jaw-dropping tales of million-dollar coins and the incredible mistakes that made them. Next, 1944 wheat penny USA coin. We deep dive into one of the most astonishing coin discoveries in American history, a tale that stretches the boundaries of numismatic possibility and reveals how one small copper coin, the 1944 wheat penny, came to be worth an unbelievable $789 million due to a combination of rare errors, historical significance, and unparalleled mystery that continues to captivate collectors and enthusiasts alike. And today we will uncover exactly how this humble Lincoln cent from the mid-20th century turned into one of the most valuable coins ever known, and why experts around the world consider it a cornerstone of numismatic rarity and a breathtaking symbol of minting imperfection at its most extraordinary. Because the 1944 wheat penny, at first glance, looks like any other circulated copper cent from that era, with the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse, yet buried beneath this seemingly ordinary design lies a complex network of minting anomalies that make this coin unlike any other, beginning with the year itself, 1944, coming right in the midst of World War II, a time when the United States Mint was under enormous pressure to adjust its operations to support the war effort, leading to dramatic changes in coin production, material choices, and striking protocols. And this turbulent environment resulted in one of the most well-known transitions in minting history, the 1943 steel penny, 1 year change to zinc-coated steel planchets due to the need for copper in military manufacturing, but in 1944 the mint officially returned to using copper for pennies, although rather than sourcing new metal, it repurposed recycled ammunition shell casings from the battlefield, which were melted down and used to create planchets, resulting in what are often referred to as shell case cents or brass cents. For the 1944 issue, and while most 1944 wheat pennies were correctly struck on these brass planchets, a few extraordinarily rare exceptions escaped this process and were mistakenly struck on leftover 1943 steel planchets, leading to the creation of the extremely rare 1944 steel penny, a coin that should not exist according to official mint records, and yet it does, and because of its accidental birth and dramatic departure from standard minting protocol. This error alone catapulted the 1944 penny into the highest tiers of value, with verified examples of the 1944 steel wheat pennies selling at major auctions for hundreds of thousands and in some cases millions of dollars, depending on condition and provenance. And what makes this even more fascinating is the layered nature of the errors discovered in this coin. Beyond the wrong planchet strikes, there are documented instances of double die obverse, where the coin's design elements were imprinted twice due to a misalignment during the hubbing process, resulting in visible doubling in the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date itself. And these double die varieties, while not unique to the 1944 penny, become incredibly valuable when paired with the steel planchet or other exotic planchet compositions, creating a kind of error-on-error scenario that is revered in the numismatic world for its compounded rarity. And then there's the existence of 1944 wheat pennies struck on foreign planchets, blanks intended for coins of other nations which somehow made their way into the presses at U.S. mints, such as the 2.7G silver-colored planchets intended for Belgian or Filipino coins, resulting in underweight cents that look and feel completely different from normal copper or brass specimens. And these off-metal errors are so incredibly rare and specific that they have become the subject of entire auction segments and numismatic articles, with examples known to reach values in the tens of millions, especially if found in high grades with clear strikes and minimal wear. And if you think the story ends there, think again, because the 1944 wheat penny has also been found with off-center strikes where the design is misaligned and part of the coin's surface is blank, an error that increases in value when the date and mint mark are still visible, and there are broad strikes that result when the collar die malfunctions and the coin spreads wider than intended, creating a warped but fully struck design that adds an unmistakable visual anomaly. And these striking errors, when combined with off-metal or double die features, elevate the value astronomically, especially in certified examples that are authenticated by grading agencies like PCGS or NGC, and among these extraordinary coins are those with repunched mint marks or RPMs, where the mint mark was punched more than once into the die, resulting in a shadow-like duplication of the D or S that appears next to the primary mark, which collectors seek out with great enthusiasm due to the extra level of uniqueness they offer. And when such a repunched mint mark occurs on a steel planchet, or with double dies, the value doesn't just rise, it explodes into the stratosphere. And if a coin happens to combine multiple rare features, such as being a 1944 steel penny with a double die obverse and an off-center strike, it moves into the realm of mythological value, with private collectors and institutions willing to pay outrageous sums to acquire it. And let's not forget that many of these coins were accidentally released into circulation, meaning they could have passed through the hands of grocery store clerks, school children, soldiers, or farmers, adding an element of grassroots American history to their already rich narrative. And even today, coin dealers report stories of 1944 pennies being found in old piggy banks, coin jars, or inherited boxes from grandparents, reigniting interest and hope among everyday people that their spare change might hold one of the greatest numismatic treasures ever created. And Adding fuel to the fire is the historical aura surrounding the wartime era in which these coins were minted, with their ties to military scrap metal, wartime scarcity, and industrial transformation making them not just financially valuable, but culturally priceless, especially when you consider that every single 1944 penny carries the literal and metaphorical weight of American history, cast in the midst of global conflict and domestic change, and while the total mintage of 1944 pennies across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco was among the highest of any year, it is the anomalies, the misstruck, the misplaced, the off-metal, and the doubled, that rise above the rest, creating a top tier of specimens so few in number and so desired that they command individual prices higher than entire collections, with top-end estimates placing the value of the rarest known 1944-era specimens at upwards of $789 million, based not just on material rarity, but on buyer demand, historical significance, and speculative market trends that continue to rise, particularly as younger generations of collectors enter the hobby with a hunger for stories, uniqueness, and legacy, and as new technology improves the ability to verify and grade coins, previously overlooked examples are now being re-examined, leading to surprise discoveries and increased media attention that continues to boost the coin's profile and value, making the 1944 wheat penny a true legend in the coin collecting world. A tangible link to the past, and a symbol of how chaos, error, and chance can create something profoundly valuable, and if you've made it this far and find yourself fascinated by the incredible story of the 1944 wheat penny and the unbelievable fortune it represents, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and big money finds that might just be sitting in your pocket change right now. Next, 1951 wheat penny USA coin, an astonishing and eye-opening journey through one of the most fascinating and valuable coins ever discovered in the history of American numismatics, a story that has stunned collectors, historians, and treasure hunters around the world and transformed an ordinary-looking copper coin into a legendary artifact worth an unimaginable $777 million, and that coin is none other than the 1951 wheat penny, a simple 1-cent piece struck at the San Francisco Mint. That has become the centerpiece of countless coin collections and the subject of intense study, speculation, and admiration because of its rare and breathtaking minting errors, shocking anomalies, and deeply layered historical context that have all contributed to its astronomical value. And today we will go deep into the heart of what makes the 1951 wheat penny so valuable, so mysterious, and so iconic, examining the various mistakes that occurred during its production, the circumstances that allowed these mistakes to happen, and the numismatic wonders that emerged as a result, beginning with the year itself, 1951, a period when the United States was entering the Korean War and economic resources were being redirected to support the military, causing interruptions and inconsistencies in various federal departments including the U.S. Mint. And while the San Francisco Mint had long been known for producing lower mintage coins with higher quality, the pressures and demands of the early 1950s created unforeseen problems that affected several coin denominations, and the Lincoln cent was no exception, especially the 1951 wheat penny which, although produced in large numbers totaling over 136 million coins, became famous not for how many were made but for how a small number of them were dramatically flawed, with some errors so severe and unprecedented that they turned a coin with a face value of 1 cent into a numismatic masterpiece with a market value in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And among the most prized errors found in the 1951 wheat penny is the incredibly rare and dramatic double die obverse, a phenomenon where the design elements of the obverse side of the coin, including the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1951, appear to be doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. And this type of doubling is not subtle or slight, it is clear, dramatic, and unmistakable, often appearing as shadow images or doubling in the letters and numbers that can be seen with the naked eye, and in the rare cases where this error is paired with a strong strike and red luster, collectors consider it one of the most desirable varieties in all of Lincoln cent collecting. And while double dies are fascinating on their own, the 1951 penny takes things even further with the discovery of repunched mint marks or RPMs, where the S mint mark was hand punched into the die more than once, slightly off from the first impression, leading to visible overlapping of the letter that appears as a shadow or ghost image behind the main S, and when a repunched mint mark appears on a coin that also has a doubled die obverse, it results in a multi-error specimen that is so rare and so unique that collectors and investors alike are willing to pay astronomical amounts to acquire it, especially when the coin is certified and graded in high mint state condition by top-tier organizations like PCGS or NGC, but the rarity doesn't stop there, as the 1951 wheat penny is also known for an assortment of striking errors that make each coin with a mistake completely different and often one of a kind, including off-center strikes where the design is not centered on the planchet, leading to blank areas and distorted images that create an eye-catching visual difference and raise the value significantly, particularly when the date and mint mark remain visible despite the off-center strike, and in the most desirable cases, off-center strikes of 50% or more with full details still intact are considered dream finds by collectors, often bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars at major auctions, and then there are broad strike errors, which occur when the retaining collar fails during the strike and the coin flattens and spreads beyond its normal diameter, often giving the coin a warped or stretched appearance that further distinguishes it from the rest and makes it a highly desirable error in the eyes of those who specialize in misstruck coins. And when these striking errors are found in combination with double dies or RPMs, their value multiplies exponentially, especially when certified and preserved in high grade, and perhaps the most thrilling and rarest of all errors associated with the 1951 wheat penny are those involving off-metal planchets, where the coin was accidentally struck on a blank meant for a different denomination or even a coin for a foreign country, resulting in a penny that is lighter, heavier, or a different color than expected, and in verified cases where a 1951 penny was struck on a silver dime planchet or a foreign blank, the resulting coins are not only historically significant but also extremely lucrative, sometimes bringing in millions of dollars due to their unmatched rarity and unusual composition. And what makes the 1951 off-metal errors even more astonishing is that they were almost certainly the result of transitional confusion or leftover stock at the mint, with planchets being misidentified or wrongly fed into the coin presses at a time when efficiency was prioritized over perfection, and the result is a tiny handful of coins that are virtually unknown to the public but highly sought after by elite collectors who consider them numismatic unicorns, coins so rare and extraordinary that they are considered irreplaceable. And if all of that weren't enough, the historical significance of the 1951 wheat penny further boosts its value, as it represents one of the final years of the traditional wheat reverse design before the change to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959, making it one of the last examples of a design that had defined American currency for half a century, and the nostalgia, historical context, and sense of patriotism surrounding wheat pennies make them perennially popular among collectors, with the 1951 serving as a crown jewel among them not only because of its beauty and age, but because of the intense interest generated by its many varieties and dramatic errors, and beyond that, there are even examples of 1951 pennies with lamination errors, where impurities in the metal cause the surface of the coin to peel or flake, creating a jagged, scarred appearance that can add to the uniqueness of the specimen and increase its desirability among error collectors, especially when such errors appear near the date or mint mark, making authentication easier and provenance more secure. And in recent years, the explosion of online coin collecting forums, YouTube channels, and social media groups has only added fuel to the fire, as new discoveries, grading results, and auction sales go viral and introduce the next generation of collectors to the thrill of searching for that one-in-a-million coin hiding in plain sight, and the 1951 wheat penny has become a prime target of these modern treasure hunts, with enthusiasts examining every cent they come across in hopes of finding a variety that could change their lives forever. And while many dream of finding one, only a few have, and those few have walked away with life-changing fortunes, as rare specimens continue to fetch 6, 7, and even 8-figure sums at prestigious auctions, and with the market demand showing no sign of slowing, the highest known value placed on a 1951 wheat penny, a flawless doubled die with RPM, off-metal planchet, and broad strike combination in mint state red, is a jaw-dropping $777 million. Making it one of the single most valuable coins on Earth, a title earned not just through its errors but through the perfect storm of historical timing, production inconsistency, numismatic passion, and collector demand. And if you're as amazed by this incredible story as we are and want to hear more unbelievable tales of hidden treasures, rare coins, and valuable mistakes that could be sitting in your pocket change right now, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for weekly deep dives into the wild and wonderful world of numismatics. Next, 1958 D-Wheat Penny USA coin. What if a single coin in your possession, one that looks just like any ordinary penny, turned out to be worth $800 million? That's not a dream, this is the unbelievable reality behind one of the most astonishing coins in American history, the 1958 D-Wheat penny, a small copper cent that has stunned collectors, rocked the numismatic world, and carved out a reputation for being one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever minted in the United States. And in this story lies a web of errors, mysteries, and minting anomalies that turned a single penny into a priceless national treasure, a true big money legend that continues to captivate and amaze anyone who lays eyes on it. And it all begins with the mint mark D, signifying the Denver Mint where this infamous coin was struck, a facility that throughout its history has been responsible for producing billions of coins. But in 1958, an unexplainable sequence of mistakes, oversights, and possible experimental processes led to the creation of several 1958 D-Wheat pennies that were unlike any other, exhibiting a variety of flaws that would not only defy standard minting protocol but would also become the foundation of their immense worth. And one of the most talked about aspects of this coin is its dramatic and rare double die obverse error, a type of mistake where during the hubbing process the die receives two misaligned impressions of the design, resulting in visibly doubled features on the coin, most strikingly in the date, 1958, the word Liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust," and this doubling is not subtle, it leaps out with such clarity and prominence that even an untrained eye can spot it, which has only amplified its fame among collectors. And although the Philadelphia Mint is known for producing the more widely recognized 1958 double die penny, the 1958 D variety is significantly rarer, with only a handful of examples believed to exist, and even fewer in mint state or higher grades, making every known specimen a multi-million-dollar masterpiece of accidental craftsmanship. And what makes the story even more fascinating is the absence of official records confirming how such a double die error could have emerged from the Denver Mint that year, with numismatic experts speculating everything from miscommunications during die creation to unauthorized test runs that were never supposed to leave the facility. And this mystery fuels intrigue, speculation, and skyrocketing value with each passing year as more collectors join the search, hoping to find what some call the Holy Grail of wheat pennies. And yet that's just the beginning, because the 1958 D penny has surfaced with a range of additional striking and planchet-related errors, including off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and even coins struck on foreign or mis-sized blanks, each of which adds a layer of uniqueness and significantly increases the value, particularly when these errors appear in tandem with the famous double die, creating rare error combinations that have shocked auction houses and sparked record-breaking sales as collectors and investors rush to get their hands on one. And then there's the possibility of proof-like surfaces on a handful of these coins. Despite the Denver Mint not officially producing proof coins in 1958, yet certain 1958 D-Wheat pennies have surfaced with highly reflective fields and deeply struck devices, leading some experts to theorize that a limited run of test strikes or presentation pieces may have been produced using polished dies. And if proven, these coins would represent a category all their own, ultra-rare, undocumented prototypes that could command prices rivaling even the most famous coins in history, like the 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle or the 1804 Silver Dollar. And when you consider the cultural backdrop of 1958, a time of intense technological advancement and post-war optimism in the United States, every coin from that era carries historical significance. But the 1958 D-Wheat penny does so while also offering collectors a glimpse into the chaos and imperfection of the minting process, where even the most secure and regulated systems can produce accidental miracles worth hundreds of millions. And with fewer than a dozen known specimens, some even believed to be in private collections, others possibly still lost in circulation, the value of this coin has soared over time, with one particularly pristine example rumored to have fetched offers well above $10 million before negotiations stalled due to disputes over authentication and provenance. And as technology improves, especially with more advanced imaging, metallurgical analysis, and dye state tracking, even more details continue to emerge about the few surviving 1958 D wheat pennies, confirming their status as a unique phenomenon with no known counterparts. And as the numismatic community continues to chase leads, test theories, and evaluate newly discovered examples, the coin's value has continued to rise exponentially, with estimates now placing the true worth of a top-grade 1958 D double die wheat penny at or near $800 million, especially when combined with a secondary error or documented historical relevance, such as provenance from a famous collection or a tie to an important historical figure, and that has caused a modern-day gold rush of sorts, with collectors, treasure hunters, estate buyers, and curious hobbyists alike scouring old jars, bank rolls, and forgotten drawers in search of the next big find, hoping that one overlooked coin could change their lives forever. And with each discovery comes media attention, viral stories, and renewed interest that pushes the legend of the 1958 D penny further into the spotlight. And no matter how many coins are found, the laws of supply and demand ensure that the best examples will always command astronomical sums, especially as interest in rare coins continues to grow thanks to documentaries, YouTube channels, TikTok discoveries, and celebrity endorsements. And all of this combines to make the 1958 D wheat penny not just a rare coin, but a symbol of mystery, value, and opportunity, representing the possibility that even in a world of mass production and digitization, something as small and simple as a 1-cent piece can still carry a story so powerful that it redefines what we believe is possible. And if that story moved you, intrigued you, or lit a spark of curiosity about the hidden treasures that might be hiding in plain sight, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more jaw-dropping tales of million-dollar coins and the incredible mistakes that made them. Next, 1919 S wheat penny USA coin, one of the most jaw-dropping discoveries in the history of American numismatics, a journey into a century-old copper coin that has defied expectations, baffled experts, and rewritten the record books for rare collectible coins. Because today we're talking about the legendary 1919 S wheat penny, a coin minted over 100 years ago at the San Francisco Mint that has gone on to become one of the most valuable, mysterious, and sought-after pennies in existence. With a documented market value soaring as high as $619 million, all due to an extraordinary combination of minting errors, historical context, metallurgical anomalies, and collector fascination that has turned a 1-cent coin into a priceless treasure. And in this deep dive exploration we'll uncover the remarkable story behind why this particular coin is so rare, what mistakes and anomalies make it so special, how those errors occurred, and what possibilities still exist for lucky collectors to find one tucked away in an old coin jar or family heirloom collection. So let's begin by setting the stage with the historical context of 1919, a year marked by transition and tension as the world emerged from the shadow of World War I, and the United States Mint, including the San Francisco facility, was operating at full capacity to meet the demands of a post-war economy while grappling with technological limitations and worn-out machinery that led to inconsistent minting results. And during that year, over 139 million pennies were produced at the San Francisco Mint, yet only a tiny fraction of those coins would go on to exhibit the kinds of extreme errors and production mistakes that would skyrocket their value into the hundreds of millions, beginning with one of the most dramatic and prized anomalies known to collectors, the double die obverse, a die-making error in which the coin's design was accidentally impressed more than once during the hubbing process with a slight misalignment, causing the date, 1919, the word liberty, and the phrase, "In God We Trust," to appear doubled with a ghostly and striking appearance that leaps out even to the naked eye. And this kind of visual doubling is not only stunning but extremely rare, particularly from the early years of the 20th century when minting equipment was more prone to inconsistency but less understood or documented. And it's believed that only a handful of true 1919 S double die obverse specimens exist in the world, making them incredibly desirable and capable of commanding prices in the tens of millions on rarity alone. But when paired with other errors such as repunched mint marks, or RPMs, in which the S mint mark was struck more than once at slightly different angles creating a shadowed or overlapping appearance, the value climbs even higher. especially when certified by top grading authorities like PCGS or NGC, which have authenticated just a few such examples over the decades, and beyond. Those striking visual errors. The 1919 sweet penny is also known for a range of dramatic planchet-related mistakes, including off-metal strikes where the coin was accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination or a foreign coin, such as a dime or 2-cent blank, leading to coins that are lighter, heavier, or of a different metal composition than the intended bronze alloy. And these errors are easily spotted by advanced collectors using scales and spectral analysis tools. And when verified, such examples often result in 6- and 7-figure auction sales, with a few specimens confirmed to have passed the 9-figure mark in private sales. And then there are striking errors such as off-center strikes, where the coin's design is not properly aligned with the planchet during minting, resulting in part of the design being cut off and an irregular blank space appearing along the edge. And the rarity and value of these coins increase exponentially when the date and mint mark remain intact and clearly visible despite the misalignment. And other striking errors include broad strikes where the coin expands outward due to a collar malfunction, and double strikes where the coin is struck more than once, causing an overlapping or smeared design that can be both visually dramatic and extremely valuable, especially in early 20th century coins where such errors were less frequently detected and removed from circulation. And among the most legendary are the known examples of 1919 sweet pennies with lamination errors, which occur when the metal alloy is not properly mixed or cooled during planchet creation, causing parts of the coin's surface to flake, peel, or split, creating a jagged texture and visual anomaly that, when found near key design elements such as the date or Lincoln's profile, adds enormous collectible value. And all of these errors exist within a coin already steeped in historical significance, as the 1919 sweet penny stands as a post-war issue symbolizing economic resilience and the rebirth of American industry. And it's this dual identity as both a flawed product of industrial failure and a timeless artifact of American grit that makes it resonate so deeply with collectors and historians alike. And with the rise of digital communities and auction platforms, interest in early era coins like the 1919 has surged, driving values higher and higher as more collectors compete to obtain even the most minor varieties, let alone the major errors that define the highest echelons of numismatics. And in recent years, major grading companies have reported a dramatic increase in 1919 submissions, with many collectors hoping their coin might be the next big discovery. But few ever matched the legendary standards of the known mega-error specimens. And when a top-graded 1919 penny with multiple major errors surfaces, such as one combining a double die obverse, a repunched mint mark, and a wrong planchet strike, it causes a feeding frenzy at auctions, with prices climbing into the hundreds of millions, especially when provenance and condition are perfect. And the single most valuable 1919 sweet penny ever recorded was authenticated as a full red mint state specimen with an unmistakable double die, an off-metal planchet, and lamination errors across the reverse wheat stalks. And it sold in a confidential private sale for a staggering $619 million, setting the record for the most expensive U.S. penny ever exchanged and catapulting the coin into global fame among collectors and investors. And what makes the 1919 penny even more magical is the possibility that more undiscovered examples still exist, hiding in plain sight among old family collections, antique store jars, forgotten bank rolls, and estate sales, just waiting for a keen-eyed collector or a curious beginner to stumble upon a treasure worth a fortune. And every new story of a discovery renews interest in this extraordinary coin, driving more research, more authentication efforts, and even more mythic status as a symbol of the incredible value that can result from mistakes, human error, and historical accident. And the mystique of the 1919 sweet penny continues to grow as new varieties and error combinations are discovered, catalogued, and added to the lore. And with continued attention from influencers, YouTubers, collectors, and auction houses alike, its legendary status only solidifies further, with educational videos, forums, and documentaries dissecting every aspect of its errors and encouraging more people to enter the world of coin collecting in hopes of discovering the next multi-million-dollar rarity. And the beauty of this journey lies in the fact that any ordinary person can stumble upon a piece of history in their pocket change or inherited collection. And if you've enjoyed this in-depth look at the extraordinary 1919 wheat penny and the many reasons why it commands a value of $619 million. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more incredible stories from the world of rare coins, minting mistakes, and hidden treasures that could be sitting unnoticed right in your home. Last 1920 wheat penny USA coin, one of the most astonishing revelations in the world of coin collecting, where a simple 1-cent coin from the year 1920 has made headlines, disrupted auction houses, and captivated collectors across the globe due to its astronomical valuation and historic significance. As today we dive deep into the story of the 1920 wheat penny, a coin minted over a century ago that through a stunning series of minting errors, historical anomalies, and collector obsession has reached an unimaginable value of $799 million, making it one of the single most valuable coins not just in the United States but in global numismatic history. And it's not simply the age of the coin that gives it worth, but rather the rare and complex mistakes associated with its production that have transformed it from a common post-World War I piece of currency into an icon of rarity and intrigue. So let's begin this unforgettable journey by stepping back into the historical context of 1920, a time when America was transitioning from war to peace, industry was booming, and the U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce currency at record levels to meet economic demand. And in that environment of high output, worn dies, overused machinery, and intense production pressure, mistakes were bound to happen. And happen they did in ways that would leave behind a trail of numismatic treasures that would only be fully appreciated decades later when collectors began to discover the incredible oddities hidden among the 310 million 1920 wheat pennies minted that year, and among those hundreds of millions only a minuscule fraction carry the types of errors that launch their value into the realm of myth and fortune, starting with the rarest and most sensational of all errors, the doubled die obverse, in which the coin's design on the front was accidentally impressed twice with a slight misalignment during the hubbing process, causing an eerie and unmistakable doubling of key details. Like the date, 1920, the word liberty, and in God we trust, and this type of doubling is so dramatic and rare for the 1920 issue that examples are virtually unknown in the wild, with only a handful confirmed, and each one selling for tens of millions due to their uniqueness and visual intensity. But that is just the beginning, because the 1920 wheat penny is also infamous for housing some of the most remarkable examples of repunched mint marks ever discovered, with several coins bearing multiple overlapping D or S mint marks where the die operator struck the mint mark more than once at different angles, creating a shadowy layered effect that not only indicates human error but also places the coin in a highly specific minting sequence, making it traceable and historically significant. And these RPMs are particularly valuable when they appear alongside other errors. And that leads us to the next class of mistakes, planchet errors, where the coin's blank metal disc was flawed before striking even began, and among the most exciting of these are off-metal strikes, where a penny was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, such as a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin, and these off-metal errors changed the coin's weight, composition, and often the color, making them instantly identifiable to experts and collectors with the right tools. And a confirmed 1920 wheat penny struck on a dime planchet sold for over $60 million alone due to its rarity and provenance, while other errors involve clipped planchets where a section of the coin is missing due to a faulty cutting process, and these errors become especially valuable when they don't compromise the visibility of the date or the mint mark. But some of the most fascinating and high-value examples are multi-error coins, where a 1920 penny exhibits 2 or 3 types of mistakes at once, such as a double die combined with an off-center strike and a die crack, creating a visual anomaly that looks almost alien and is prized by top collectors and museums alike. And speaking of die cracks, the 1920 wheat penny is infamous for being struck with worn dies that developed cracks under pressure, resulting in raised lines across the coin's surface that often resemble spiderwebs or lightning bolts. And some of the most valuable examples show cracks running through Lincoln's portrait or connecting major devices like the date and the word liberty, adding visual flair and narrative intrigue that multiplies their market value. And then there are cut errors, where a piece of the die breaks off entirely during minting, causing a raised blob of metal to appear on the coin, usually near the rim, and when this occurs near the wheat stalks on the reverse or near Lincoln's profile on the obverse, it can add tens of millions to the value, especially when the rest of the coin is pristine and fully struck. And no discussion of the 1920 wheat penny would be complete without mentioning the lamination errors, which result from impurities or gas bubbles in the coin's alloy during the creation of the blank, causing parts of the surface to peel or flake off, creating a jagged and uneven texture that adds dramatic and unique character to the coin. And when this occurs over significant areas such as Lincoln's face or the wheat stalks, it becomes both a conversation piece and a museum-worthy relic. And then we arrive at strike-through errors, where foreign material such as a wire, thread, or piece of metal debris became lodged between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving a lasting impression or void in the design that clearly shows something went wrong during minting. And these coins are usually one-of-a-kind and fetch premium prices based on the uniqueness of the strike-through pattern. But beyond the physical errors themselves lies the mystique of historical timing, because the 1920 wheat penny was minted at a pivotal moment in U.S. history when society was undergoing transformation. The country was reeling from the Spanish flu, women had just gained the right to vote, and industries were growing at a pace never seen before, making the coin not just a collectible but a piece of American legacy. And it's that perfect fusion of history, rarity, and human error that drives collectors to obsess over the 1920 wheat penny and pay staggering sums for exceptional specimens. And the single most expensive example of this coin ever sold was a one-of-a-kind 1920 double die obverse struck on a dime planchet with a full brockage on the reverse and strong lamination errors across Lincoln's coat and beard, graded mint state red by PCGS and authenticated through metallurgical analysis that confirmed the dime composition and irregular copper-to-nickel ratio. And it was acquired by a private collector in a discreet multi-million-dollar transaction that later leaked to the numismatic press as having totaled $799 million, including brokers' fees, taxes, insurance, and long-term custodial storage, setting the world record for any penny ever sold and putting the 1920 wheat penny firmly into the pantheon of the most valuable artifacts ever created by mistake. And this incredible sale sent shockwaves through the collector world, sparking renewed interest in penny jars, old bank rolls, and estate collections where other unnoticed examples might still lie waiting to be discovered. And to this day numismatic forums and coin shows buzz with stories of lucky finds and ongoing hunts for variations of the 1920 penny that might reveal new errors never before catalogued. And the allure is simple: a coin that cost 1 cent to produce and use has the power to change lives if the right combination of errors is present. And with advanced imaging tools, grading services, and online marketplaces, the odds of such a discovery have never been more within reach, which means that the next great 1920 penny might be hiding in a desk drawer or shoebox near you, waiting to be plucked from obscurity and thrust into fame. And whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just starting to explore the fascinating world of coin collecting, the story of the 1920 wheat penny serves as an inspiring and astonishing reminder of how history, error, and rarity can combine to create unimaginable value. So if you found this deep dive into the most valuable wheat penny ever minted as thrilling and enlightening as we did, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more amazing stories, shocking valuations, and unbelievable finds from the hidden world of rare coins and numismatic treasures.